can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like $100,000.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs like the founders of P90X, the Paleo Diet with Dr. Lauren Cordain, the Orlando Magic, and many more, and how they overcome big challenges in life and business. This episode is brought to you by Rise 25, which I co-founded with my business partner, John Corcoran. Rise 25's mission is to connect business owners to their ideal peers, prospects, and strategic partners. We do it in three ways. One, we do these live in-person VIP days and receptions with top entrepreneurs all over the country. We also have a complete done-for-you service for podcasting and content marketing. So people just show up, they talk, and we do everything else. And also, we do it online connections through done-for-you lead generation, where we manage a consistent and systemized outreach to your ideal clients. Since it requires a lot of humans, we don't work with everyone. We have limited bandwidth. But if you are interested, you can go to rise25.com and contact us. I am very excited. We have a fellow doctor in the house. We have Dr. Steve Sudell, creator of the Neck Hammock. And I've tried to find a solution for this for many years. There's not been a good solution. So thank God, Dr. Steve, you actually created this. And the Neck Hammock is a simple, portable, FDA-approved medical device that attaches to any door, rail, or pole and helps with neck pain relief in 10 minutes or less. So many people have neck pain relief. You have text neck, you're texting and on the computer. People, if you're watching this right now, you probably leaning over, and you shouldn't be. So they've achieved significant success on both Kickstarter and Indiegogo, raising over $1.6 million and selling over 30,000 units in a very short period of time. In fact, the Neck Hammock was ranked in the top 1% of all crowdfunding campaigns. Why? Because it's a solution people are looking for. So, Dr. Steve, thanks for joining me.
It's really great to be on here. And, that's exactly why I created it, because I myself personally couldn't find anything that I could use at home either.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of stuff we're going to talk about, but one of the things is the inspiration behind the Neck Hammock, which is your sister, Kelly. What happened with her?
So she was diagnosed with leukemia about 4 years ago. And, I had actually just come up with the idea of the Neck Hammock maybe about a month prior to that. And I remember sitting in the hospital room with her, and she was just, going through chemotherapy in so much pain. Her mouth was so swollen that she couldn't actually drink any water. And I remember sitting there watching her, realizing two things. Number one, life is very short, so it's too short to just sit on ideas, okay? And number two, here she is going through this type of pain that I cannot help. There's nothing that I can do to alleviate her pain. However, I have an idea for a product that can provide relief to millions of millions of Americans who are currently suffering from some type of neck pain, tension headaches. Like, those are things that I genuinely believe that I can help. And so she really motivated me to kind of, get my butt in gear and make this thing happen.
Yeah, that's life-changing, seeing someone so close to you go through that.
It's terrible, but, throughout the whole process, we've really become much closer, and every single time some sort of crisis presents itself, there's always an opportunity there. It's not easy to see in the moment, but it always is there. Yeah. And it's just, it's kind of made me more aware of that. Yeah.
So I'm glad something good came out of that. It really lit a fire under your butt. Be like, okay, we don't have that much time on this earth. We need to get this rocking. You had 3 other inventions, I think, before this, or 2?
So I had 2 other inventions before this, which thank God I did, because I like to say that I had a lot of expensive learning opportunities with those inventions that basically, I wasn't able to get to market, but they really developed a solid foundation for the Neck Hammock.
So tell me a little bit about those, kind of how you worked through those early on.
Yeah, so one of them, so I'm very active with CrossFit, and at the time I had just begun CrossFit, and really CrossFit was pretty new. And one of the issues was people who climbed ropes, when they would slide down, it would destroy their shoes. So I came up it's no longer an issue.
That was like the worst thing I hated in grammar school gym, climbing the rope. So the thought of me doing that alone makes me cringe. It's very difficult to do.
It is, and a lot of people went through a lot of very expensive shoes as a result of those ropes. So I created a solution that would basically protect your shoe while you used it. But shortly after I created that, Reebok started making their own shoes that actually had something built into it. And
you were onto something.
Yeah. So I was onto something, but they kind of beat me to the punch.
What was the other one?
So the other one had to do with, I did a lot of home health physical therapy, and I would treat a lot of patients who use supplemental oxygen. And overwhelmingly, I would say about 50% of the people that had that, number one, have balance issues, and number two, would experience falls from tripping over the oxygen tubing. So I created a clip that went into your belt or attached to your side. To the tube would then attach to the side of you, staying out of the path of your gait. And number two, freeing up a hand so you're not constantly whipping that thing around and holding on to it. So you can actually use your hands to use a cane, a walker, hold your food, grab water, whatever the case may be. So it was a great product that it may be one of those things that I still pursue. It's just very hard to sell direct to consumer, especially in that demographic, because most of them, when they tried it, loved it. But getting them to actually try it and understand what the product was actually very challenging to do. So
I actually, Dr. Steve, I had another person on, Kelly Simmons, who invented a backpack. She was, I forgot how old, 10 or something. She invented a backpack for cancer patients to do whatever the IV is for that. So similar function but different application. But definitely there's a problem and a need there. So we'll get to the product, and it's not easy to create a product. And then once you create it, you have to get it out to the world. But I want to talk about your background a little bit, because it's not like you're just some guy in a basement tinkering around. You actually have treated professional athletes.
Yeah. So when I first started as a physical therapist, I started working in a sports clinic, and I was exposed to a lot of the local the Jacksonville Jaguar football players would show up there, a lot of professional baseball players. But even before that, I had worked with the Atlanta Falcons as an athletic trainer for a little bit, and then since then, my entire practice really revolves around athletes, not necessarily professional athletes, but just athletes in general. So I understand that type of population very well from my previous experience. And the thing that I love about athletes is you can't just get away with doing the same basic exercises. They really teach you to
They want
creative.
more and more
Always
and
want
more
Yep.
and optimize that. If they can get a 1% edge, that's what they want.
Yeah. So that's been a lot of fun for me.
What got you into the health profession in general?
I was just very athletic, growing up. And I remember my senior year sitting on a physical therapist table, getting shoulder rehab, thinking about what I'm going to do in the next stage of my life. And I just remember thinking, I really love health and fitness, and I love working with people. So I think that, the job of physical therapy would be something that would be, I would be able to fulfill kind of all of those passions, and I wouldn't be stuck behind a desk all day. So that was the route that I pursued, and I never deviated from it.
So you see your sister going through this horrible stuff, and you're like, I need to do this. So what was the next step that you took to get it going?
So I got in contact with my original industrial designer that I kind of found through my other products that I had worked on, and just, told him basically what I was looking for. He kind of gave me some rough sketches and ideas that at least got me started in the right direction to where I could start testing. And then once I got to a point where I started to test, then I realized that I needed to find other industrial designers who are more familiar with kind of cut and sew type products. And then so I got introduced to, other industrial designers that kind of brought it to the next level. But then me knowing and testing it on real clients in my particular practice, I knew that I was onto something. So then I knew I had to get more into the legal side and protecting it. And, there's a lot of other components that I, certainly learned very fast about.
So I'm sure this has gone through many, many iterations and versions. What would you say? What version is this today? How many versions has it gone through?
This is probably version 13.
Yeah.
Before I even launched, I went through about nine changes to it. And then even from the time that I launched just a year ago, less than a year ago on Kickstarter, we've gone through 3 different versions. And I actually have 2 more versions kind of on the way. But I just keep changing and modifying based on people's feedback, assembly instructions, just the whole 9 yards. I'm always changing and adapting.
Yeah. You guys have a really good video. I mean, anyone could check out and go to, I think it's just Neck Hammock, not the Neck Hammock, neckhammock.com, and check out. It's really interesting. There's a really good explanation video because it's kind of like you're in the mind of your customer. Like it pops up and goes, you're probably wondering how you use this thing, right? And then it goes through it. So what's the best feedback that you got from someone actually using it that, maybe to you wasn't obvious at first, but to them it was really obvious?
So there's a really special moment that really resonates to me. I was going through a tough day. I just spent probably like north of $14,000 in fees that day, whether it's for my designer and legal fees, whatever the case may be. And I got a text from a girl that works in the gym that we operate out of. And because I have a neck hammock set upstairs, and she sent me a text saying, hey, for the last 2 days, I've been dealing with severe tension headaches. I tried everything that I normally try in the past, medications, caffeine, water, just you name it, I tried it. And so I just decided to come upstairs and try the neck hammock. And she's like, I laid in that thing for 15 minutes and my tension headache was completely gone. She's like, you guys have, created a miracle product and so grateful for it. And it was that moment that just was like
it
came at the perfect time for me to, continue on and really make this thing happen.
Yeah, it's not easy to get a product to market, At what point did you decide to do a crowdfunding?
Pretty early on.
You did?
Pretty early on because I knew that, I didn't have any digital marketing experience whatsoever, but I knew that if I could create a good campaign page and a good video and get it on Kickstarter, that there's 14 million people that are actively on Kickstarter. And so that's a very large audience that you can immediately grab the attention of. And I had done a lot of research and have seen other products kind of in the same field do really well on there. So I thought that mine could do really well on Kickstarter as well.
What do you think, Dr. Steve, made it successful? Because there's lots of products on there, right? And you said this is the top 1%. So at first glance, like, oh, you just put a good, it's in need, but that's not true because there's a lot of products that go up there and a lot of them don't get funded or don't get funded as much. So what do you think?
I put myself in the eyes of consumer and what am I resonated to? And for me, with like our videos and images that we use, I really want to convey that sensation of this feels really good. I don't know why this is going to help my neck exactly. I don't know exactly what it is. It's kind of like this weird little device, but it looks like it feels really good. And so we'll start there. And that at least gets people's attention to looking into it more versus if you look at some of these other like cervical traction products that are out in the market, they look like medieval torture devices when you're using them. They don't look comfortable.
Like Braveheart,
with
right?
This, mine to most people at least looks like an advanced pillow, or something of the nature that, just looks like it provides relief.
So how do you propel the success after the Kickstarter campaign? Because you guys, you can get it on Amazon. Where can people get it right now? You mean you can get it on the website?
Yep, you can get it directly off the website. You can get it on Amazon. And we've really just started to tap into like a lot of distribution deals. So like Sharper Image is selling it. The Grommet is selling it. We're actually about to do a test with CVS here coming up.
Awesome.
So we have like a lot of things that are in the works right now. And the whole distribution side of it is something that we're just very, very new with. But what I've learned from this is that it's better to crawl than walk than run versus just trying to sprint. And if you try to go too fast, you can't manage it all, and you lose, control of everything. And so I've certainly slowed down how we're scaling so that we can speed up when we're ready.
Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of advantages to Kickstarter and Indiegogo. You get a lot of eyeballs. You get a lot of people who want it. What are some of the challenges?
The knockoffs.
Oh, really?
Thing is China is, you bring up a great point, because it's an industry problem of people make a really good product on Kickstarter. 2 weeks later, they're selling it on Amazon, because China is watching. And the thing is, they don't actually have your product made yet. They don't even know how to make your product yet. But what they do is they steal your images, and then they create ads on Facebook and on Instagram and, on Amazon and all these things to collect your money, and then just disappear, once they collect enough. Do they also call it the same thing? Do they call it your product, or they call it something else? Initially they did, until my trademarks went through. That was a big problem for me in the beginning, is that I basically was competing against myself at 50% off. That's crazy. Because people didn't know the difference. Why would I buy it? And then they think you have bad customer service too, because they think it's you and it's not you. Well, so that was another thing with us early on, is that we actually had to take down our Facebook reviews because we were getting so many negative reviews from people who thought that they bought from us, but they really bought a product that said Neck Hammock on it that was really poorly made. It smelled like, many of them complained that it smelled like toxic chemicals, or it snapped when they first used it. So it was this massive obstacle that we had to get over, that we were defenseless of, because you can't educate the world saying, beware, this product being sold for half off. That's, not real. What do you do? It's crazy. So we all get on Facebook and social media how they're really negative tools, but they also can be used in a very positive light. So when I got that, first of all, when I started seeing my product being knocked off 2 weeks into our Kickstarter campaign, immediately panic mode set in, because what do you do? Who do you call? And so I went onto Facebook and just asking, all my friends, hey, what can I do? And a lot of people guided me into the direction of, well, you can go directly to Shopify and Amazon. You can report these intellectual property infringements. And thank goodness I registered my trademarks and copyrights and things like that, because had I not, I wouldn't have had any kind of leg to stand on to go to these sites to get them taken down. But most inventors don't know that, and it also costs money to do that. So we ended up doing that, and then I ended up hiring essentially a IP internet security team. You're like the mafia? No, I'm just kidding. You send the mafia over to China? Exactly, the internet mafia. But it's their job just to scrape the internet on a daily basis. Oh, really? Look for Neck Hammock, using algorithms to detect similar images as mine. It's just another expense you got to pay. It's a war that we'll never completely win. We're always going to have to fight it, but it's like a messed up game of whack-a-mole. Is that an ongoing retainer type of situation where they basically do that every month for you, or is that just in perpetuity? Basically, as long as I want to, continue to fight these guys and take them down, it's just you pay a monthly retainer, and they just report those things on a daily basis. Do you want to mention a few names of research? I'm sure people are interested in maybe that same thing's happening to them. I don't know if there are a few names you want people to point people towards, or a general search term that they can look to find someone that may be able to help them if they're experiencing the same issue. Oh, for sure. And I'm actually going to write a whole book on this after things kind of settle down a little bit, just to give people at least a head start and give them the resources that I didn't have. But the current agency that I'm using is called IP Shark, Intellectual Property Shark. They also work with really big brands like Scrub Daddy. Scrub Daddy, they're that's the most brand. Shark Tank sold or something, right? Also probably one of the most knocked off, from China. You think about how hard that is to knock off. So they work with them. And then there's another really good agency called Red Points. That's a little bit more expensive, but they have a little bit more. They're a little bit bigger company, so they have a little bit more international resources. But it's just you gotta choose where to spend your money, because every dollar you spend on protecting your IP is less that you can spend on digital marketing. So it's a big strategy.
My gosh! So there's no recourse, like they can't trace it back to China and get that company or anything. It's more just
they could.
Yeah,
they could do that. And I could easily do that. I know where the address of the warehouse is, but the problem is that when you don't own the intellectual property, in China and in the States and wherever else they're selling it, I mean, laws don't enforce themselves. You have to pay someone to go over there and enforce it for you, and you're talking a lot of money, to go and enforce that. It's just, again, resources that you take down one factory, there's 10 others like it,
Totally. So thanks for sharing that. I knew there was some other side to the story, and sometimes I feel like it's when you explode, it's sometimes maybe hard to fulfill on the product, because you probably had a lot of orders very quickly, I imagine.
That was a problem for us, and that was another reason why we went the whole Kickstarter route, is that number one, I didn't know if people were really going to like this. I didn't know how much they were going to resonate to the product. So that when we did get all those backers, we got that money, we were able to take that money and then reinvest it into the actual, product. And when you're dealing with China, which is what we're dealing with, you have to typically spend a lot of money in order to get a very low cost of goods. That's how that works. And I didn't have the money to put down, $200,000 on an order, that large. And so Kickstarter was a great tool for me to then fulfill those orders. The only problem is that, people are waiting 3, 4, 5 months to get their product. And most of the people who bought it, if they weren't familiar with Kickstarter, didn't understand that timeline, we're not too happy about that. So I had to deal with a lot of customer service issues early on.
Yeah. What's some feedback you got that helped you shape the product? I'm sure you had a lot of iterations, a lot of versions. Something people said that, I would tweak this or tweak that. I mean, obviously you use your own personal experience. I'm curious, are there any turning points in customer feedback?
I didn't. We haven't changed the actual shape of the product at all since we really launched the product, because that was an area that I spent a lot of time on, and I tested it on a lot of different head shapes and sizes and those things. So we felt pretty good about that. It is something that I think I will address here, in some of the later versions. But the main concern, or the main issues that I really had to tweak, was the actual band, the tensile strength of the band, how we connected it to the neck hammock. The new version is sewn directly into the neck hammock to decrease overall assembly time. We also had to play with the different plastic clips. We had just a handful of cases of where they would break. When you're talking thousands of units, if something is naturally going to happen like that.
Right. So
we really had to increase the durability of the clips to withstand forces far beyond what you'd ever need to use it. The adjustability of the neck hammock, it used to be far less adjustable. And I realized through people's feedback that a lot of people are not very intuitive when it comes to assembling things, even when you give them directions.
Myself included, yes.
Yeah, I had to make it as simple as possible to assemble and to put together. And, people are still naturally going to mess it up, but those are some of the biggest changes that we made to it.
Dr. Steve, do you have any laying around close to you right now, by chance, or no?
I can get one in about 30 feet away from me.
Yes, get one, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right back.
So as you're doing that, I just want to see it, and I want you, all of them, demonstrate exactly how you use it. They do have a cool video on neckhammock.com that you could check out, but I figured while we have him here, he'll actually show it to us and demonstrate it a little bit. So I was just saying that they can go on the website and check it out, but you're here with us. Just show it to us. Show a little bit of how it works for people.
For sure.
Yeah.
So this is, if you were to buy the actual like retail box, like in stores, this is what it would look like. Has a little bit of directions on the back. But when you open the box, for most people, if you buy it online, you're going to get it in this. Okay. Yeah. It comes in this nice plastic bag and travel bag. And then as we open it up, as you can see, it comes fully assembled already.
Nice.
So you don't need to put anything together. Okay, this side attaches to a doorknob or door jamb. We then have the adjustable strap, so if your door is too high or too low, you can easily adjust it here. As I said before, the bungee is sewn directly into the neck hammock itself. And on the inside of the neck hammock, there's 3 pads.
Nice.
Okay?
Yeah, you can't see that from the video. You can only, so that's nice.
So the base pad kind of goes right underneath the base of the skull, and you basically would lie on your back nice and flat, close your eyes, and relax. Just some other things that comes with an eye mask that I strongly recommend that you use, because that's just going to put you in a deeper state of relaxation.
I'm going to buy it just for the eye mask.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I put that in there as like a nice little like gift and like add-on. People love it. Like they use it outside of the neck hammock all the time. It also comes with an instruction manual of exactly how to use, how it works, and also, who should not be using it. And
who should not be using it?
Comes with contraindications. So, we recommend kids under the age of 16 probably not use it, even though it is very passive traction. We just, want to mitigate our risk.
Safe. Yeah.
Anyone who has, hypermobilities of the spine, any sort of contraindication with cervical traction, we put in there for them to avoid. It also, based on feedback of people who watch their videos and they're like, oh, what if someone opens the door and bangs you in the head? We have this nice little door hanger that we made that goes into the side. I watched,
it was actually on Dr. Oz, right? You guys were on Dr. Oz and someone's demonstrating it, and he jokingly says, now I'm going to open the door, but I didn't think of, someone opens it from the other side. And
yeah, so, knock on wood, we haven't had any complaints of someone having a door open up on them. We've had our other issues, but that's not been one of the things.
They're far enough away probably that may not hit them if it opens up also, but you don't want to risk it. So how long should someone be tractioning for?
We tell them to start with about 10 minutes, but work your way up to about 15, usually 20 at the most. We've had people who have fallen asleep in it for hours and woken up feeling amazing, but I don't want to encourage that because we don't want to really overstretch those structures of the neck, But set a timer for 15 to 20 minutes. We actually on our website have some meditation videos already made that have the built-in 15-minute timer that goes really nicely with this while you're using it. Because so much of neck pain, too, is just from people being stressed and keeping everything in their shoulders.
Totally.
That we can just get them to relax and let go.
Yeah.
I mean, that
alone helps, but obviously the extra traction. I mean, I believe, this is going to be an epidemic. We're going to see this. This isn't fully going to manifest for years to come because, as you know, people are like 5, 6, 7, 10 texting now and on their phone for hours. And that's going to manifest in even worse things, in my opinion, than what we're experiencing with adults now. So this is going to be huge for people.
it's a problem that's only getting worse. I mean, the latest statistic that I saw was somewhere around the ballpark of 21.3% of Americans suffer from some sort of neck pain at this time. Either 2 out of 10 people are suffering from neck pain. And like you said,
I would have guessed like 8 out of 10. I mean, I would have guessed way higher.
It's got to be higher than that. But either way, though, it's a massive problem.
Yeah.
And how do we solve neck pain? Most people just take drugs. And that's really what I'm trying to get away from with a product like this.
Totally. Dr. Steve, first of all, thank you. I have two last questions, but I want to just tell people you should go to neckhammock.com or Amazon to get it. I'm going to get one for sure, 100%. I'm going to recommend patients get one. So I think it's important, even if you don't have neck pain, to prevent neck pain, in my opinion. But it's not as motivating to get it unless you're having excruciating pain. But in my opinion, why wait, right? So go there. Dr. Steve, two last questions. Since it's Inspired Insider, I always ask, one, what's been a low moment and how you push through? And two, what's been just a really proud moment that you've experienced in the journey?
I would say that the lowest moment came when all of the knockoffs and counterfeits started popping up. I mean, they were popping up at a rate that the best way to describe it is it just kills your mojo. It makes you question why you're even doing this, like why you've invested so much time and money and effort into something that someone can just steal your idea and just, reap all the rewards. That was a really low moment that, was tough to get through, that just took day at a time, just understanding that there's going to be that market, that piece of the pie out there for those types of people. And, I'm going to try to minimize that as much as possible, but it's just going to be there, and so understanding that and then moving past that, took a while for me. But then, fast forward, I mean, there's been, for me, the biggest highs that I get is still the daily testimonials that get, texted to me, via Instagram or via email and saying the people that were just suffering from such bad chronic pain and who've tried all the things and this has given them so much relief. That, in my opinion, supersedes being featured on Dr. Oz. I was featured in a Forbes article a few weeks ago. And those things are all really cool. But when people still reach out and just tell me how much they appreciate the product and are thankful for it, that to me is exactly why I did this in the first place.
Yeah, totally. Everyone check out neckhammock.com. If you don't know how to spell it, I'll spell it for you. It's neck and then HAMMOCK.com. Dr. Steve, I want to be the first one to thank you. This is an awesome product, and I'm looking forward to getting it.
I really appreciate the podcast. Really enjoyed myself, and can't wait to hear what you think.
Thank you.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like $100 grand.